Howdy, listeners. This is your host, Random Nerd, on the Critical Thinking Nerd podcast. Labels of Fascism, Nazism. This episode will dive into the labels of fascism and Nazism. As a baseline, these terms are political ideologies of specific types of governments that embody specific events of history. Definition from education.cfr.org. Fascism, a mass political movement that emphasizes extreme nationalism, militarism, and the supremacy of the nation over the individual. They advocate for the overthrow of existing systems of government and the persecution of political enemies. And definition from World Population Review, fascist governments traditionally take the form of a one-party dictatorship led by a single person. Last I checked, the United States is still a two-party system run by the Republican and Democrat parties with checks and balances from the judicial branch, the Supreme Court of the U.S., and the legislative branch, the U.S. Congress. In addition, while President Donald Trump is downsizing federal government, there has been no direct removal of the entire government agencies or a direct removal of any form of the U.S. Constitution in its principled enforcement, especially with the deliberate media attacks against President Trump. Also, as stated above, in the definitions, there has been no reported persecutions of political oppositions. Even the societal public is freely airing their grievances in a very toxic manner. Enough with the pleasantries. I gave you the definitions of fascism. Now let's get into this episode. A very close person has shown a completely different side I never thought I'd see from them. This individual gave me a challenge to research into this topic, and boy, I am researching thoroughly and even learning some valuable insights that would prove this person wrong tenfold. That's a story for a different time. What I will share with you is how these terms are being mistreated by the very people who are these terms. I grew up in a time when little people were labeled, gay slurs were used behind backs. Even myself was labeled with derogatory and bullying names. To label a person in a mean and derogatory manner is to hold power over them and essentially to dehumanize that person or group of people. The coined term MAGA, Make America Great Again, originated by President Ronald Reagan and has been used by Bill Clinton and even Barack Obama, but has been a defining phrase by President Donald Trump. The idea is to revitalize patriotism of being an American, of being a proud United States citizen, the label of nationalism. Unfortunately, nationalism has its ties with fascism, but the difference between the current U.S. and a fascist state, there is no single quote-unquote leader to dictate what the federal government does. While President Trump's executive actions are being perceived as aggressive tactics, these are the same tactics used by President Clinton and even President Obama. Also, the principles of the checks and balances of the three branches of the U.S. government is in full swing. Many of Trump's actions are being challenged by the U.S. court system and not directly bypassed to fulfill his orders. Now, with that said, and I have been vocal in my own way, I have not supported and still don't support Donald Trump as a politician. I have been critical of certain actions of his presidential activities, but, and I say this in capital letters, but I do not use labels against him simply because I disagree with certain things he does. So again, why does the political left, liberals, and modern progressives use labels? The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. I gave you a direct, blunt answer. Now I challenge you to research further for your own knowledge and understanding. This podcast isn't to give you all the answers, as I keep saying, but to build a community of critical thinkers together. Politics and societal issues are intertwined, yet separate of their own. They influence each other, yet thrive separately. Continue to episode 7 of how the usage of these terms are being abused and how the meaning behind the labels affect society. If you found this episode meaningful, please continue to listen to my next episode as I dive deeper and research further to share my knowledge with you. Thank you.